Welcome to Backstage at the Enharmonic. I am your host, Sean J. Kennedy. Today's guest is world-famous saxophone player and producer, Richie Cannata.
Richie Cannata, thanks for joining me today on my podcast. The listeners are probably most familiar with your legendary recordings with Billy Joel, the Beach Boys, and the work at your world-class recording studio, Cove City Sound Studios, up in Long Island. And some of our younger listeners probably are most familiar with your work with John Stamos and Uncle Jesse and the Rippers on Full House. But today what I'd like to do is go way back. I thought it'd be interesting to find out, as far back as you can remember, what was some music that you may have heard around your house that you think has had a lasting impact on your career?
Well, thank you for having me part of this, Sean, and a tribute to you and your great sense of education and drumming, and this is the reason why I'm on your podcast, because we've actually played together and made some music together, which is something that your audience should know. As far as my awareness in my house, I was 4 years old, and, you know, the thing that we have, which is this gift of God or whatever the spirit is, I used to watch cartoons, but I would not look at them as much as I would listen to them and figure out the music. So when a cartoon was being, you know, watched by my brothers and sisters and things like that, I'm listening to the music, figuring out what they were doing. I was only 4 years old, not knowing what I really was doing, but I was going, what is that? And those notes, and then I would run to a piano that we had at the house, and I would figure it out. That went on for years and years and years and years. And then at some point, my dad saw that I liked music. And he started playing Stan Getz records and Henry Mancini records and big band records, and, you know, his style of music, which was Sinatra and Tony Bennett back in the day, believe it or not. And that was the beginning of me listening to music and really loving it.
Well, that's incredible. Yeah, I remember from when I was younger, there was the reruns of the old Spider-Man cartoon, and that's one of the first things that really got me into jazz, I think, so it had like this Mingus sound to it. I didn't know it as a 3-year-old. What were some of the cartoons that you really dug the themes to? Do you remember what they were?
Well, it was a lot of Disney stuff, Mickey Mouse, things. You know, they were a lot of them were in black and white, believe it or not, too. You know,
right.
And you know, the Farmer Gray ones, even way back, and the orchestrations. If you can get your hands on some of that stuff, I mean, it was incredible. It wasn't, you know, done by a music programmer. It was done by somebody scoring these things and, you know, an orchestra playing them.
Wow.
Incredible clarinet music, incredible string solo sections, you know, where, you know, a cat is chasing a mouse, you know, or Mickey's doing something. It's take a minute, and even today, listen to some of the Disney music beds. They're amazing. They're fantastic.
So this one was Farmer Gray, you said? It was a cartoon?
Well, I think it was called Farmer Gray. It was way back in the day. And Disney, more Mickey Mouse than anything else, you know, those cartoons and of that nature. You know, there was like a Betty Boop. It's coming back to me now. Yeah, old school. Great music.
Good, I'll have to go back and research that, and so will some of the listeners have to YouTube that or access those somehow. Now, what was the progression between cartoons and piano, and then was it clarinet and then saxophone, or did you play saxophone right away?
No, clarinet. It was piano. I started on piano, and then at school I joined. I guess it was the band/orchestra, whatever, you know, I needed to play, and they needed clarinet players. I kind of wanted to play the trombone, believe it or not, and really? I'm happy I didn't. Yeah, and they said. And yeah, it was crazy. I was thinking about a trombone, how cool it would be, but they needed clarinet players, and I said, you know what, clarinet is good. And I had a close buddy who was taking clarinet, and we both took up the clarinet, and I immediately said, yeah, this is my instrument. I loved it. And then I would say I was probably about 5 or 6 years old.
Really? When you did clarinet?
8, yeah, I was very young, and then by 8 I was playing tenor saxophone. Then they moved me over to the high school.
Wow. That's really young to start clarinet. Was it a
No, it was a regular B flat clarinet. It was very hard because my hands were small.
Right.
But it was also metal.
Wow. And was it rolled the keys?
Yep. Wow. And it was metal. But it was easier to play, and and I only stayed on the middle one for a little bit until I liked it. Then my dad decided that I was going to rent one from the school or somebody, and I got a wooden one. So by like first grade, second grade in there, I was rocking with I guess it was a buffet clarinet. It was actually a pretty good one. Yeah.
That's incredible. These days, most kids start around fourth grade. I guess because their fingers are big enough or whatever. But
it definitely was a problem. But I was rocking it, man. And I was playing first chair.
Wow.
Then they moved me over. To I could read. I was reading and making notes, and then I had this ability to blow an ad lib. So then I was, I guess, about like 4 or 5. I guess, let's see. I was, what's second, third grade? That's 5 or 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
6, 7 years, around 6 or 7. They put me in the high school Dixieland band.
Oh my God! Are there pictures of this somewhere?
Oh yeah, there's my high school yearbook. There's pictures of me playing with these. Then, do you remember a show called Wonderama? It was a show on Channel 5 in New York. It was this really great kids show. It was broadcast out of New York, and they asked me to go on that TV show, and I played Dixieland with a bunch of my buddies from school when I was like, I guess, around 7 years old.
Oh my God! Now, were you listening to Dixieland?
Yeah, my dad brought home Pete Fountain records, Benny Goodman records. Pete Fountain was amazing. And as a matter of fact, when I became an adolescent, and what's an adolescent? I guess I was in my 20s at this point, right? My dad took me to New Orleans and surprised me for a birthday to go see Pete Fountain.
Oh my God! At his club, what is it called? Pete's Place or something? Or I forget. He had a place down there.
Yeah, he had a place. That's the place.
Wow.
I think it was called Pete's Place. You're right. I sat there and went, I can't believe I'm listening to Pete Fountain. I might have been just about 20 years old.
Oh, my God, man. I saw him right at the end of his career. I saw him and Al Hurt up in Bethlehem here.
Oh, my God, Al Hurt. I haven't heard that name in a while.
It blew me away, man. One of my favorite recordings is Pete's, what is it, Stranger on the Shore. I don't know if you know that one.
I don't. I'd have to hear it. I probably do know it,
Yeah. That's awesome.
But New Orleans was a big thing for me, and I would then frequent, trips down there to listen to these great clarinet players. They just blew me away. Of which I then eventually married a New Orleans girl, a Lafayette, Louisiana girl, and I got married in New Orleans.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
It seems like your formative years were spent a lot with the New Orleans Dixieland stuff and a lot of clarinet.
Well, I had a little band. This little band that we played with at school, and this drummer, Stad, was a jazz bass player, and he said to me, at some point, if you want to go out there and make music, you got to play the saxophone. I said, okay, cool, I'll do that. And he said, and I was just a little kid, right? And he goes, but you got to play tenor. I said, really? I said, okay. I got myself a tenor. It was bigger than me, and I loved it. And that was the beginning of me playing. And then I started playing big band stuff. I love big band, and I played, the jazz chair with the tenor. And from there, it just became one thing to the next. And I loved rock and roll, and I had a band, and the Beatles were a big influence. And I never looked back. I never had a job. Still never have not have a job.
That's great. That's great, man. The Dixieland thing is really interesting to me because, me coming up, I knew you as a rock saxophone player. And now I'm learning this stuff. It gives me a whole new appreciation of your playing and where you came from, which is really cool.
Sean, think about on the Stranger record and Scenes from the Italian Restaurant, where Billy goes, Billy knew my influence about clarinet and New Orleans, and I was married to Charlene at the time. The song about New Orleans, and I play a clarinet solo in that song. It goes back to then.
That's
and
awesome,
if
man.
you listen to the theme of 52nd Street on Billy's record, on the 52nd Street record, I have a clarinet Dixie solo on that.
Right. That's awesome.
Making sense now, isn't it?
It is, man. It all comes together. It's not out of nowhere. It's like, oh, now I know why you did that. Now, do you still get the clarinet out every once in a while and jam on it?
I don't even know where my clarinet is. I do everything on soprano now.
Okay.
I wouldn't dare touch that instrument. It's too hard.
Yeah.
uh, it's a beautiful instrument, but I do everything on soprano. When I get a call for double reeds, I let them know I'm going to do it. If they want something like that, it's got to be on soprano.
Are there any clarinet players out that you're digging now, like people on the scene now that you're checking out, or are you into other stuff?
Oddly enough, there's a young kid that's out from Australia, and his name is Adrian Cunningham. And you want to check out a Dixie legitimate swing clarinet player. He is like the best. And he's not a kid. He's 30, 40 years old. Amazing. Okay. Amazing. And he and I played together. He'll bring his instrument to my Monday night jams at the bitter end. And I just hired, I didn't hire, I had a client that came in and he hired Adrian to put together a jazz/New Orleans type band. And he played clarinet on it, and I forgot how good he was. And that was just recently. Sean, this guy is amazing. You got to check him out.
Awesome. All right, so let's see. I know you have some exciting new stuff going on, especially with our mutual friend Liberty. Why don't you tell listeners a little bit about that?
Well, you're so close to him, you just call him Liberty. His name is Liberty DeVitto.
Right.
And I actually know him as Lib. So, and okay. Liberty and I were the original band members with Billy Joel. And we have, with Russell Javers, the original guitar player, we have started a band called the Lords of 52nd Street, and we've been out there gigging, and we started about a couple months ago, and it's been something that's really been amazing because the band is absolutely fantastic. It's all that great music the way we played it back when we first recorded it and toured in the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Fantastic. I think I'm coming
to check it out.
New Hope in a couple months. In June, I think you're going to be around here, right in New Hope.
Great. You're coming to that gig? Oh, you're going to love it.
Yep, we're going to come out and check it out, so I can't wait.
You're going to love it.
That's awesome.
It's absolutely fantastic. We're doing all the songs in the right keys and the right tempos, and we've got a Billy Joel principal guy. His name is David Clark, and he is really studied the way we want this music to be heard, which is the way we kind of did it back in, when we recorded in the mid to late 70s. And it's the way this music should be heard. And when you hear it, you're going to say, "Oh my God, that's why Billy is where he is today." You know, we were a great band and we took care of business. You know, so
you guys influenced me. You're one of the main reasons I got into it. So I can't wait to see the real thing live in a few weeks myself. So
you've been playing with Lib for a while now, back and forth doing clinics and things like that. There's nobody that plays drums these parts better than Liberty. Nobody.
Yep.
Nobody. And you'll see why he's this rock drummer god. He's insane, bro. He's insane, and he's killing it. Right, and we're out there, but nobody plays our parts better than we do. There's all the tribute bands and all these people that want to run around and say that they can play Liberty's parts or the saxophone parts that I wrote. Nobody plays them better than we do because we wrote the parts. It comes from our souls. The music comes from our being, our there with Billy as he asked us to create these songs, with him, not reading notes, not, trying to figure something out that wasn't there. It was from our hearts and souls. It's music, no programming, no beat detective, no auto-tuning, no shifting of kick drums, no tuning of saxophones. We played this stuff, 24 track, no digital set of hands to fix anything. And that's why it sounds as good as it is. And that's why 40 years later, people are coming out to hear it.
It's incredible, man. It's great. Real musicians, in my opinion. That's how I quantify it. Real musicians making real music. Back when you were making records, if you go back to your parents' record collections or even maybe your own if you were really young, there was a 24-track machine and a great console, an analog console in recording studios. You had to be actually good to go into that studio and play play in time and sing in tune. You had to do that because you can't fix it. So you put a bunch of guys in a room that all can do that, then there's a good chance you're going to make some good music. Look at all the great music that was done with Springsteen and and Billy and James Taylor and the Beatles and the list goes on and on. Aerosmith and all of the bands that set up and played. They set up and played and made music. They made great music.
Now it's a guy sitting in a room the size of a bathroom with a crack of Pro Tools and every plugin he could think of, and thinking he's making music. He's making a form of entertainment, but it's not music as you know it. All the people are taking gigs away from you from playing the drums because they got some program that they can do it in a sample of snare drum and a kick drum. What the heck is that?
That's bad. I know, man.
Get behind a kit, sit on a throne, put a pair of sticks in your hand, go to the left and play the hi-hat, have it go up and down, go over to the right, hit the toms. I mean, that's music. That's music, So, and that's how we made those records, and that's what Liberty DeVito is all about. And when we play this music, you hear that. You go, wow, that's the difference. That's the difference. You've got to experience it because it's not around much anymore,
That's right.
For what you hear in the radio. You've got to dig deep to find, places that there are real musicians playing real music, Because mostly everything's all tracks. They're all tracks. And even a lot of our colleagues in this business, and I say colleagues, the ones that are taking time up in the same venues that I play, they've got plugins and tracks that they're playing to, and auto tuning as they're singing. And come on, guys, spend the time and learn your parts, and get out there and sing and play. We don't do that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm with you, and I'm glad you guys are still, forging ahead and making new music. So I know you have different projects you're doing with new bands. You have your own band, which is great. Liberty has he has the Slim Kings. So you're still creating. You're still out there, which is incredible.
Can't help it. Can't help it. Go back to 4 years old watching cartoons. Can't help it. God gave us that gift. All we're doing is pursuing it. It's what we do. It's it's a blessing and a curse. You know the deal.
Oh yeah, I know. What's the old expression? The easiest way to get a musician to complain is to get him a gig. So.
Right. Right. That's it.
So if the listeners want to find out more about you, I guess they can go to RichieCannata.com. Is that the best place to go? That's
the best place.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So again, thanks for taking the time. I can't wait to see you soon, and my best to your family. And if you have any parting words, go ahead. If not, then I'm done.
No, what I can only say is that, and I've said this, and it's very, very blessed year for me, is it's all about the music, and enjoy it. And when you hear something good, it's for a reason, because it is good. So God bless everybody. God bless you, Sean, and your great family, and we'll hook up soon, buddy.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Richie.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.